This is Free Blues Boxing. What up? Hit the subscribe, like, and the notification bell for unlimited boxing content, knowledge, experience. We are back. What up, boxing world? It's like it's back to back to back every weekend. This month of November is fire. We have the pound for pound king, Terence Crawford, one of the most feared boxers on the planet, versus Kell Brook, recognized as one of the elite fighters as well. And it's going down Saturday, November 14th. In Las Vegas on ESPN. They will be fighting at 147 at welterweight. Terence Crawford will be defending his WBO welterweight title. Can't miss it. A lot is at stake right now. This will be by far Terence Crawford's toughest test up to date. He never fought a type of fighter like Kell Brook with that much skill, also bigger in size. Now, Kell Brook's resume is pretty deep. I feel like this fight is perfect timing. He has what it takes to beat Terence Crawford. I mean, Kell Brook's been in there with the Golovkins, the Errol Spences, the Sean Porters. He's definitely seen many different styles in the boxing game. For the critics saying that Terence hasn't fought anybody, this is finally a name that he could beat and that he can put on his resume and finally show these top dogs at 147 that he is ready for them. Crawford emphasized in recent interviews that his most ideal fights in the future is going to have to be Pacquiao and Spence. Then Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia. He obviously wants the guys on the other side, those top welterweights. Now, back in 2017, Kell Brook lost his IBF belt. Errol Spence went to his backyard in the UK and snatched that. Before I get to that fight, literally right before Kell Brook fought Gennady Golovkin, he made that leap up from 147 to 160 to fight Golovkin. Prior to that, he fought Sean Porter, and that's how he was able to snatch initially that IBF belt. Basically, like, the man has been in wars, like back to back to back. Those three fights, he did take a lot of punishment. Actually, for the Sean Porter fight, he actually dominated, and we've never seen somebody unanimously just whoop Sean Porter like that. Sean Porter gave Errol Spence his toughest fight up to date. Kell Brook shows that he can really use his jab and use his 1-2 and really just be so elusive in there and just throw off his opponent. If Kell fights a smart fight like he did versus Sean against Terence Crawford, he's gonna give him problems. At the same time, it should be a war. Terence Crawford, he's a switch hitter. He's the best for a reason. He's ranked #1. He's got power. He stopped all 4 of his welterweight fights, all 4 opponents. And if he stops Kell Brook this fight, it'll be his 5th stoppage at welterweight since moving up from 140. By the way, he was undisputed at that weight. He moved up from 135. I mean, come on now. If Terence Crawford retires today, he's a legend. He's a 6-time world champion across 3 different weight divisions. Should I keep going? 11 title defenses the last 6 years. I mean, he's #1 for a reason. Don't forget, ESPY award winner. He is just a global boxing star right now. But like I said, at the same time, the time is ticking for Terence. His back is against the wall. Fans, the media are demanding the huge mega fight, somebody of his caliber to fight him. And he can't just beat Kell Brook. It has to be convincingly. He has to spark him so that he puts the welterweight division on notice. Some might argue that Kell Brook is washed up. It's an end of career, and it's just going to be a walk in the park for Terence Crawford. Kell Brook is definitely got skills. He's technically sound, and he could put the paws on Terence Crawford. Now, literally just last year, I can't remember the guy's name, but Terence Crawford defended his WBO belt at welterweight against his mandatory, and I wasn't too impressed of the fight. Terence, I got punched and dropped by this guy, fell to one knee, and the ref ruled it as a slip. He had messed up. At the end of that fight last year, Terence had denied it. Later in current interviews, Terence was like, yeah, some say it was a knockdown, some say I slipped, but it didn't matter. Like, basically, he flipped the switch, he got up, and he knocked the dude out. Don't get me wrong, it was impressive. Terence did what he had to do. He stopped that guy. But the thing for me is, okay, when he fights these top guys, is he going to be able to hold a strong chin and be able to take punches from, the heavy hitters like Errol Spence and Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia. You need to be a little on point. Your defense needs to be a little sharper when you're fighting these bigger guys at this weight class. You're naturally the smaller guy. As a smaller guy, you need to rely on your fundamentals and just focus on points, and just focus on winning the rounds, and then eventually, you should outsmart that guy and win anonymously. At the same time, I know Terence, he knows what he needs to do. I mean, since Floyd, my argument is that he makes adjustments the best in the ring that I've ever seen. He fights both southpaw and orthodox stances. He's just going to make it tricky for most fighters out there. Before the Kell Brook and Terence Crawford fight was announced, there's a previous video of Terence going up to Kell Brook and asking him, like, yo, you ready for the fight? You going to make weight? I felt like that was an exciting build-up. Terence is not afraid of nobody. Funny, he actually corrected the host in the recent, actually the final press conference, and said, he was like, nah, facts check. I approached that guy. There's nobody in boxing, I guess, besides like an Errol Spence or maybe a Tank Davis and other good fighters too, that just have such a strong confidence, that they're just so dominant and they're going to beat everybody. At one point, I mean, before obviously Lomachenko lost to Teofimo Lopez a couple weeks back for the undisputed at lightweight, Terence Crawford was under Lomachenko in the pound for pound list. They were saying that Lomachenko, quote unquote, the Matrix, would they were saying he was going to beat Floyd. They said he was going to beat eventually Terence Crawford. There was speculation that fight was going to happen or be made down the line. Crawford has definitely kept winning. He's climbed his way up to the #1 pound for pound list. I think Canelo is like 1A, 1B, whoever you want to put first. Terence Crawford is Lomachenko before Lomachenko as far as making opponents quit, just being the most dominant fighter. And basically nobody has cracked Terence Crawford's code. Like, who's going to beat this man? Now, Kell Brook, he was talking his trash, talking about he's going to rip Terence Crawford's WBO belt away. I mean, is Kell Brook going to have the same energy he had against Errol Spence? I mean, at least verbally, he hasn't had that same energy. Is he going to give Terence Crawford a brownie, or is he going to outbox Terence? Is he going to stay on his jab? Is he going to be popping that, his specialty, that 1-2? Is he going to keep his distance? Also, Kell Brook has had problems with eye sockets. He's broken his eye socket in both the fights against Errol Spence and Gennady Golovkin. Unfortunately, he has a fragile face. That's going to be a huge factor in this fight against Terence. Terence, he is a heavy puncher for his size. He knows how to throw punches in bunches, and he knows how to land efficiently. If Kell Brook isn't on his toes and blocking those shots, he will be punished. It's going to be a war. We got Kell Brook versus Terence Crawford live on ESPN November 14th in Las Vegas. In the comments, comment who you think is going to win this fight and also what potential fights you want to see. This is Free Blues Boxing. Hit the subscribe, like, and the notification bell for unlimited boxing content, knowledge, wisdom, experience. You know what it is. Until next time.